Hello there, welcome back to Hello Blackbird. My name is Delana and I'm very happy that you joined me here today. Now I'm going to get straight into it because I think most of you who are watching or tuning in today are interested in the progress of the quilt behind me. And let's just get into that and show you what's been going on. So this is, I'll move out of the way. This is the finished quilt top. I'm really happy with the way it turned out. It is not yet bound, it is not yet backed, and I'm going to go through and talk a little bit about everything that's going on in this quilt, recap kind of how it all came together, and talk a little bit about the binding and the backing, because I haven't yet decided on the backing yet. And I'm just going to move in and give you a little bit of a sweep around the quilt before I get into dimensions and some of the finer details. But I'd like to take this opportunity to say that if you've been inspired by any of the videos that I've been making and you've tried your own string blocks or you've made something from string blocks out of half square triangles, leave a comment below. Or maybe we can meet up together over on Instagram. You'll find me at Hello Blackbird on Instagram. I'll leave a link below. And if you do post anything making half square triangles out of string blocks, tag me in your post so I can see what you've been up to. I'd really like that. Now, this is not a pattern. It's not a tutorial. And I really don't mind if you take the dimensions and make more or less the same quilt. It won't be the same because your scraps are different from mine. But I'll talk you through it. Anyway, so in the middle here, I made 4 large pinwheels. So that's 16, yes, 1, 2, 3, 4, yes, 16 half square triangles. And they finish, I'm going to talk, all of this is in finished sizes. They finish at 5.5 inches. After I decided what I was going to do with these half square triangles, and I thought that was big enough for the center, I put a 1-inch finished border to frame these blocks in the middle. And then all the way around the outside, and I'll move you back just a little bit so you can see, there is a zigzag stripe. I've been calling it the Charlie Brown stripe, or the Charlie Brown zigzag. And I made 60 of these half square triangles. They finish at 4 inches. And I made 4, or I cut 4 just plain blocks of my background fabric to set in the corner there. The next 2 borders you see, they are 1 inch finished. This chocolate brown border and this straw colored border, they are 1 inch finished. After these 2 borders, I cut my strip blocks into strips. And these 3 rounds here all finish at 2.5, 2.5, and 2.5. So these are 2.5 finished strips, 2.5 finished half square triangles, 2.5 inch finished strips here, and that's wide times the length of my block and the length of whatever I needed it to go all the way around. And then this border out here, I just had some strips already cut, and it will finish at, let me make sure, that's going to finish at 1 3/4 when it's done. Now my binding is going to be this same material, I believe, and the backing, I am not sure. I'm going to move you back out here again. Oh, and the half square triangles, the brown and the straw half square triangles that make this sawtooth up all the way around. I made, how many did I make? I made 80 of these. And I sewed them 8 at a time, and I've got a video on that. And then I just put, again, just some plain blocks of my straw fabric in the corners. I hope you can see, so that that just kind of framed it all up, I thought, quite nicely. Now I also have another video of how I cut my strip blocks into strips, and I'll leave a link below to that. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to make a playlist of all the videos that I've done on this particular quilt top, and I'll link them below, or I'll make a playlist and I'll link to that, or I'll put it in the video somewhere, or I'm still figuring all of these things out. So I will let you know how I got, how to access the information if you want to make some of these blocks. Back to the backing. I can stay in a neutral, kind of keeping with, I wouldn't go this light for the backing, but you know, keeping in the brown tones for the back. That will be more traditional, and this is kind of a traditional quilt. On the other hand, I was thinking something like, I'm going to zoom in right here on this red, something like a mottled red, something like, I'm not zooming in, I'm carrying you in, this one. Something, a red with a tone on tone going on. Or a deep wine, or something, because it's kind of nice when a quilt, you turn, you know, you flip it over and it's got a shock on the back or some extra blocks on the back. And I'm also thinking about flannel, because we like flannel quilts in this house, and it'll make it nice and cozy. It will also make it, the weight of flannel, I think, will help it drape over the back of the couch very nicely. And if I use flannel, I may not put any batting in there. I might just put the flannel on the back. If I do put anything in my quilt sandwich, I will probably put just another piece of flannel. I have a local quilt shop, local fabric store really. They sell very wide plain flannel, and it's good quality. I mean, I've tested it in some other, some other projects I've had, and I haven't had any problem with it shrinking or doing anything funny. So I think that that would be nice to use in there. It'll be quite hot then. It'll be quite warm. Now the finished size is, I can't remember. So I'll put that down in the description below. But all in all, I think it's a really nice quilt. I'm very happy with it, and I'm also very interested. What would you do for the backing? Would you stick with something more kind of traditional, or would you go for like a nice wine, something, not a flat, I'm not talking about a solid, just a nice mottled, I think Maywood Studios makes a fabric line called Shadow Play. And that would be very interesting, I think, to put on the back of it. Something like a wine red. Yes. Now, if I had it all to do over again, because all this was started out as an experiment, I wanted to make some string blocks. I wanted to make a quilt like my great-grandmother would have made. And I know she sewed on paper, and she used things like the phone book and newspapers. And I had some newspapers. So I started with that, using that as a foundation for my strings. And then I got sick of tearing papers out, and also because I really needed to know which way my diagonals were going, because I wanted everything kind of, it's busy enough for me without the diagonals going one way and then another way. Am I making myself clear? So I found that when I was sewing, it was better if I just took the paper off so I could really see what I was doing. And I described that in another video as well, why I took the papers off before I had completely sewn them in. If I had it to do over again, I think I would use a very thin muslin or something as a stabilizer so I could just leave it in. That would also help. I'm going to grab an extra, I still have some extra blocks here. That would also help with the back. When you're sewing, if you have a stabilizer already over it, you don't have to worry about your seams getting twisted when they're going through the machine. So that's another advantage of that. Yes, it would probably make some extra bulk, especially in some places where the pinwheels come together. But I don't think it would make that much more bulk to make it not a good idea to do it. Some of you seem concerned that the ink from the newspaper might come off on the fabrics. I did not have that problem at all, and as a matter of fact, after I had sewn these together with the newspaper and I had taken the newspaper out, I found that they didn't stretch a whole lot when I was sewing them in. So I think if you do want to use paper but tear it out before you put the quilt completely together, it's fine to do that, to take the papers out and then sew it. You do have a little bit of stretch, but not a lot. Not once you get all the strings sewn together and the block trimmed down. It gives a little bit, but I didn't find it was a problem for me. There was something else, and I'll probably put it in the description below if I can remember what I was going to say. But I do have quite a few of these blocks left. I don't think I'm going to put them on the back. That was kind of the original idea. I also have quite a few practice blocks that I have left over because I played around with the idea. I made some flying geese and some other types of blocks. Is this a good stash buster? Yes and no. It's a good stash buster because you're using up a lot of strips, but it's not quick. And this was not an easy quilt. It wasn't a quick quilt to put together. I think it was easy. It was easy, but it wasn't quick. If you have not made your own quilt and you would like to come up with a pattern or a layout, I can say that a medallion type layout is a very good layout for your first quilt, or if you're not sure how big you're going to make it. So I didn't know how far this fabric, this straw would go. Turn on the light and see. That might be better. I didn't know how far this straw fabric would get me, how much of it I actually had, because I didn't know what I was going to do. So medallion was a perfect thing for me because I just kind of started in the middle and let it grow out until I ran out of the straw, and then I used up a few more of my blocks and I put the dark border on there. Now I wouldn't use a lot of this fabric, the dark brown, on the outside because I think that'll make it look really heavy. I think that's pretty much it for this quilt. Let me know, first of all, what do you think? How did I do? I think my great-grandmother would be really proud. I'm very proud of it. I like it very much. And some of you have come up with some lovely comments about it. Thank you so much. I'm glad you're enjoying the videos. If you haven't yet, hit the subscribe button. That would be very nice if you did that, if you like any of the videos that I've been doing. And if you've been inspired, again, to make any of these string blocks or to have a play with your strings, do let me know in the comments or pop over to Instagram. And again, the link for my Instagram account, I'll put that below. And we can meet up over there and you can show off what you've been doing with your string blocks. And if you like the videos, please give them a thumbs up. I always enjoy the comments. And I thank everyone very much for, supporting the channel and for interacting with the videos. And your comments are always very nice to read. And I read all of them, I do. And I try to react, or at least comment. I try to at least react. And I do try to comment to all of them. For today, I think I've taken up enough of your time. I have some other projects I want to talk about in another video, and maybe a little tour around my creative space. If that's something you would like, please let me know. And as always, I wish you a very good day or a good evening wherever you are. See you soon. Bye.